Okay, we should move on. My final guest has written several books, the most recent of which suggests that many of us are suffering from affluenza, a pathological need to keep up with the Joneses. I wasn't going to read it, to be honest, but then the people next door got a copy and thought, I'm not having them read something I haven't read. To help me make sense of my wretched, affluent, middle-class life, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Oliver James. As you do, sir, have a seat. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Now, affluenza, first off, I think I've got it.
Yep.
I'm pretty bloody unhappy, to be honest with you. I'm a miserable person. Can you help at all?
Well, if you put a high value on money, possessions, appearances and fame, then you are more likely. And fame, obviously, is something that does interest you. So.
Not really, BBC 4. Yeah.
Well, I've interviewed an awful lot of comedians, and they tend to have had terrible childhoods and tend to be prone to depression. So.
Yes. Hello. Welcome. High five. Don't touch me, I've got issues. But I mean, this, we should explain, because this is a reasonably simple proposition, isn't it? That basically this is to do with gathering material wealth and the idea of success, and it becomes a sort of addictive, repeating and self-destructive pattern. Is that a fair summary?
It is, but the key thing that I think is most interesting is that we are twice as likely to suffer from mental illnesses in the English-speaking world, in Britain, in America, in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, than people in mainland Western Europe. And that's because we have the virus much more than people in mainland Western Europe. I do think that is extraordinary. I mean, people say it's down to genes, like Stephen Fry claims he's got bipolar disorder, which he actually hasn't, I don't think.
Has he not?
No, I don't think so.
What's wrong with him then?
I think he's got narcissistic personality disorder, which isn't quite the same thing.
Right, okay.
A lot of comedians have that, Marcus, in fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Well, if they have, I almost certainly have. But I do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know whether the depression that I feel a lot of the time is related to this, you know, this idea of trying to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, the world is a wretched place. I feel depressed because I read the papers every day, and we're doing a pretty bad job.
I think it's whenever I give a talk about the book, I start off with that song "It's a Mad World" that was #1 in 2005, and the world, you know, the dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. That kind of stuff, you know, it's really, really down. And I started off with that because it is a mad world. The English-speaking world is completely crazy. Most of the audience here are no richer than they were in the 1970s. The average wage has not increased at all. Thatcherism was a complete con. There was no trickle-down effect at all.
Clearly, if you look at what they're wearing at the front, especially.
There was no trickle-down effect, so we actually, in the English-speaking world, it's amazing. For affluenza, I went all around to lots of different countries, and you go to places like Moscow and Copenhagen, it's so different. Once you get out of the sort of Anglo-Saxon English-speaking world, it's so much mentally healthier. It's unbelievable.
Now, you must have made a fortune from this book, because it's
Everyone always makes that crack, but actually, no, you know, it's incredibly difficult to make any money out of a book. Even that book has sold pretty well, but you really don't make... It took me 3 years to write, and I've been living on the equivalent of like a university lecturer.
Right. It really is.
Lecturer,
I'm
not
so
lecturer.
Sorry. We'd have paid you more for coming on the show if I'd known. Have you managed to avoid affluenza yourself? I mean, are you separate from it?
Well, I honestly do think, because of the kind of parents I had, that I really don't think I do suffer from it very much.
Now, your parents were psychologists?
They were actually both psychoanalysts, but they kind of brought me up.
Fun, yeah.
Oh, they were quite fun, yeah.
Yeah.
But they
what are you playing with? Lego? Why? Oh, I don't know.
Well, they just genuinely did not say, you know, they just said it doesn't matter, you know, about doing well in exams or, you know, having money or any of that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They said what matters is having fun.
Although, in fairness, they were both psychologists and therefore intelligent, reasonably hard-working people, so the likelihood of you turning out to be a complete bum was reasonably low. So they could, with some confidence, say, oh, just do whatever you want, because the likelihood is you were going to be okay. I mean, that's a middle-class background, isn't it?
Well, it's true if you have a middle-class background, you're less likely to be mentally ill, that's true. But I think that if you have psychoanalysts as parents, it's quite tricky. I mean, my first memory is of falling off the end of my parents' bed because I was in a rage because my younger sister being born. And for 3 weeks, I walked around in a furious state. And after 3 weeks, my parents were saying, of course, it's sibling rivalry. But then they discovered I'd actually broken my collarbone.
Right, yes. Blimey, that is quite dramatic. My son pissed in my shoe when our daughter was born as an act of non-violent protest, and I'll be honest, I was strangely proud. It was a peaceful protest. I mean, obviously you don't know me very well, but just briefly, how could I set about making myself happier and maybe moving away from the diseases of affluenza?
Well, the vaccines that I offer in the book would certainly encourage you to spend more time with your children, play with them a lot.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting, yeah. But it's a hell of a lot more fun than most of the other things you do, actually, if you play with your children. I've got 2 small children, and I have to say it's incredibly good fun playing with them. Yeah. I mean, we have... You know,
Not mine. No, I'm teasing, of course. Mine are wonderful.
But we have sort of disinvested from the, the domestic household economy. People don't invest in it in the way they used to. It's ridiculous the extent to which everybody's become a workaholic. So if you just wake up and smell the coffee, you probably work far too hard. Yeah. You've had a very successful career, and I've enjoyed the work you've done. You've given me a lot of pleasure, but to what extent have you given yourself pleasure by it? I mean, I interviewed Tony Blackburn. I interviewed Tony Blackburn once.
We've only got 15 seconds left
And he said that he wished his whole life could be a live radio show.
Oh, God.
Is that how you feel?
This is, yeah, anything, to be honest. Thank you so much for being here. Oliver James, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Rich Hall.